Should I become a real estate agent? Do you know this last year that the number of brand new agents increased by 150,000? That's a 60% increase more than we've had in the last 2 years. I wonder why. It could be because homes have gone up so much in value that people are thinking, shoot, if I was the realtor on that deal earning 3%, I could have made 15,000, I could have made 30,000 on a single transaction. So you know what? That seems pretty lucrative. And I'm gonna tell you right now, because I've done a couple $2 billion worth of real estate, people love to ask me as an investor this question: Kris, do you have your license? Should you become a real estate agent? Is that a good career that I should consider? And today we're gonna get to the bottom of it and decide if it's a good decision or not.
One shot, now the future is yours. Go! I'm turning dreams into reality. Yeah. It's one shot, now the future is yours. Go!
So today's going to be a great video because it's going to contain some of my favorite responses and answers from these questions that I keep getting over the years. Let's just start with this first key distinction. There's a difference between being a real estate investor and a real estate agent. Like, you understand that an investor buys properties. They want to own them and rent them out, or they want to flip them, or they want to do whatever they're gonna do. That's what an investor is. An investor might say, hey, this is a home and I buy this and I rent it out, or hey, this is a commercial piece of property and I buy it and I rent it out to a business, or maybe it's my business that operates there. So an investor is the owner. But then you have agents. Someone's got to represent you in buying and selling these transactions. And guess what? There's a lot of money to be made on that side of the fence too. Typically 3%, or if you're representing both sides, 6%. You know what 6% is on $1 million? That's $60,000. It's not a small bit of change. So you do then get a ton of investors out there that are also realtors. They're what you call investor realtors. Like, they're basically winning and playing on both sides. And so I get asked all the time, like, Kris, should I do both? Should I be an investor? I'm like, well, everyone should be an investor. But should I also be a realtor? Well, let's find out. All right, so let's have this conversation. Should I become a real estate agent? Let's first get out of the way that there are some benefits to this. Check this out. The upsides of becoming a real estate agent is that commissions vary greatly by state, but income is potentially limitless. Like in Utah, where I live, it's on average $103,000 a year, which is not bad when you consider for a moment that the average person is making, $45,000 to $55,000 a year. The average joint income nationwide is $73,000. So clearly, on average, they're doing pretty well. You also get a super flexible work schedule. There's definitely satisfaction of helping people through a confusing process or make really important big decisions in their life. Now, as a real estate investor, I've transacted thousands of single-family homes, but even this commercial building that we're in right now, my studio, is a purchase of mine. And in all situations, there's always a realtor involved. I insist upon it for protection purposes. And no, I'm not the realtor on my own transactions. I could be, but we'll talk a little bit later on why aren't I, and is that a good choice or a bad choice? So first of all, understand on the commercial side that for realtors, what they're doing there is they're brokering the sale and lease agreements for commercial properties. So they're basically dealing in the places where business transacts. Some states require a separate license, but most don't. And it's definitely felt or seen as a little bit more of a cutthroat, higher commission kind of game. And residential is something different. You're representing residential buyers and sellers. There's definitely a more stable client stream regardless of economy, because there's only so much commercial that's out there, and there's only also so much residential, but there's a lot more of that. Like right now nationwide, there's about 500,000 homes on the market. And it's also easier to capitalize on existing relationships because the people you know eventually are going to want to move, they're going to want to buy a house. Most of the people you know are not going to want to buy something commercial, so there are two different games, and most people will specialize and play one or the other. Now, there's a lot of people that say, well, Kris, if I'm going to become a real estate investor, because over time I want to grow my money into millions of dollars and I want to have a portfolio of homes and I want tenants that are paying them off, or I want to flip properties, right? They say this. Does it make sense for me to get a real estate license? Like, will that make me a better investor? Almost as if becoming a realtor is like an education course on investing in general. The answer is no, not really. A real estate license teaches agents how to negotiate on someone else's behalf, not necessarily how to invest in the market for themselves. In fact, there is a lot of confusion. I'll actually meet realtors that almost want to pretend that they're investors, but they actually don't own any property. They're just facilitating it for a lot of other people. Remember that when you get a real estate license, you're signing up to have a job in real estate. Being an investor, if it's a passive play, it's you owning something that is making you money that doesn't require your time. So, being a realtor, that's an active game. I have to go out and look at homes, or I have to meet people, or I have to do computer stuff and send out contracts. When you own real estate as an investor, it's just something that you own that benefits you. So, Kris Krohn, why aren't you a realtor on your own deals? Well, beware of this. Difficulties investing as a real estate agent include legally needing to disclose when you're dealing with anyone that you're probably going to make some profit on the property that you're trying to get under contract. In other words, they need to know that you're also a realtor, and what that can do is that can scare a lot of people off. I don't think it's necessarily like a major bad negative thing. For me, I hate paperwork. And I'm really super intentional with how I want to spend my time. So understand that I am playing a game where I am wrestling either my money or someone else's money or the bank's money, and I'm trying to put it into a property so I can get that property to perform and produce a certain ROI for me. Playing the realtor means, well, that now I'm trying to find the property and I'm trying to earn commissions per deal. And for some people, that actually might be the right gig. For me, it's a distraction because I own a lot of other companies. I do a lot of other things. I really highly value my time. So who then should consider then getting their license? I've definitely been known for advising people to find a way to have an excess $50,000 a year or more that they can invest. Now, that's rough for a lot of people's typical jobs because they're like, yo, I make $50,000 a year and I have $40,000 a year in expenses. I'm not gonna have 50 grand left over, Kris Krohn, to invest. And that's why I'm always encouraging people, you gotta find something more lucrative. You gotta find a better paying job. And often that's getting into the sales game. And guess what it is to be a realtor? That's a game of sales. It's a type, right? I've got other people that do solar sales, and other people work for other sales organizations. Well, being a realtor means that if you get good at that game, let's just say you're making $250,000 a year. There's $50,000 extra on the side that you can use to now invest, and now you can follow that advice. So I always tell people that if you're gonna trade your time for money, you gotta pick a career where that trade can be the most meaningful, because that's all you have in the beginning is time. And you gotta carve something off on the side to be able to invest so that you can actually get ahead and start winning. And so understand that becoming a realtor is a job. And it doesn't make you an investor. It could make it easier to get in that game or be more aware of it, or help you make enough money that there's excess money so that you can do it. Which means if it's your core thing that you're trading your time for, it should be something that you're good at, or something that you like, or something that you really want to do, because it doesn't come without its struggles. No sales job is easy. So if realtor is not the option for you, maybe it's some other game in sales, but you have to understand that the income is often irregular. It's unpredictable income. There's definitely a burden of responsibility. Like, you got to follow the paperwork the right way. You got to disclose all the proper things. There's an unethical way of playing that game. So you have to follow the rules of the game, and you have to be willing to grind for clients. Like any sales gig that can pay you a lot of money usually means you got to have a whole lot more hustle in your system than most people do. If today's video had anything to do, however, with wanting to become a real estate investor, because ultimately you know that owning a lot of real estate is how you become super wealthy, well then I'm gonna recommend that you pick up a copy of this book for free. This is the 5th book, it is a bestseller, and when I wrote it, I basically took my entire life's work and said, if I was starting from nothing, how would I be financially free in 5 years or less? Now, real estate is one of the 5 investments that I talk about in this book, but there are 4 others. And if you do all 5, then you honestly have the opportunity to become super wealthy inside the next decade. Now, when I say it's a free book, I've poured my best into this. It's full color. I'm excited to have my team send you a copy. Here's what you got to do. Click the link below, and I'm going to have you cover the shipping. But other than that, the entire book is free. You also have a chance to pick it up on Audible. And what this book will do is this will teach you my entire blueprint, my roadmap for how you become financially free in 5 years or less. This is the best book on the market for how to do this in a post-pandemic world, with information here that you're not going to find anywhere else, because most people don't get the simple math on how to get rich. And it's actually really easy if you understand the contents of this book. You know, when you're in a recession, a lot of people get worried about that job security. But in a recession, I think that you should actually try to get yourself fired, or at least quit your job. And if you want to know why, watch this video right here.